So, hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today we have Charmaine Lee, who is the Chief Digital Marketing Trainer at Sky Digital Agency, and she's also the founder of The Good Designers. So today she'll be talking about digital marketing in the context of tech startups. And thank you, Charmaine, for taking the time to come down to talk to us today. So the floor is yours.
All right, thanks so much for the quick introduction. This webinar is focused on digital marketing for tech startups. So I do a lot of training these days, and one of the things that I enjoy doing is really to share my knowledge and have a conversation with anyone who's curious about marketing and want to share about their products to people. So I once had a question from a participant: how do we market bad products? And I personally think that marketing is only for good product, right? So pre-COVID, I do a little bit of overseas training, but right now it's a lot of just webinar, although I still train overseas clients in Hong Kong and France.
I think it's always a good start, okay, to start young. It's always a good start to any business when you start young. Right? So Indonesia, Philippines.
But right now they are all virtual. Here's an outline for you today. I just wanted to let you know it would be good if you can get your pen or paper to write something out. I understand some of you prefer digital, but I'm not sure how that's going to affect your screen unless you have a very big screen. There are a few things for you to write down, and these are frameworks that you can apply to any businesses, meaning that at any point of time when you're brainstorming marketing strategies, digital marketing strategies for your tech startup, you can actually use these frameworks that I'm going to share with you today. These are what I'm going to share with you today. And pen and paper, if you can, take down some notes. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll take them as we move along or at the end of this entire webinar session. Okay, if you have challenges, you have started to do some digital marketing for your tech startup, I think just share it with me and I'll be more than happy to revisit them at the end of this for Q&A. Firstly, before we talk about digital marketing, we need to understand about traditional advertising. Okay, traditional advertising, and I want you to think about what is the cost to traditional advertising. I've listed out the price here. Design to consider for traditional advertising. You need to consider your printing costs and your distribution costs. Distribution meaning that you need someone to physically give these flyers out, right? Those are traditional advertising. But what about social media or digital advertising? Today, the cost is brought down. The delivery, the distribution can be immediate so long as the platform actually approves it. For example, when we talk about, say, Google AdWords, once the ads are approved, everything is in order, your budget is there, they start delivering to people based on search intent, right? Social media is not based on search intent, it's based on interest. So how do you then market? But what I want you to remember from this takeaway between social media and traditional advertising is that the reach is actually targeted, meaning that I can be as specific as which gender I would like to see my ad and age groups, their interests. Say, for example, if I have a digital marketing workshop, I can target people who like or are interested in Shopify and Wix, right? E-commerce platforms even. The other thing we need to ask ourselves is what is the benefit to digital marketing? So I have some benefits here for you, right? I hope you have more benefits to contribute. But one of the key things about digital marketing, as I mentioned to you earlier, is really about the time saving to execution of your marketing campaigns, right? We can talk about whether or not it's economical, but most of the time we actually need to have what we call a budget to work out a return on investment, ROI. A lot of times, a lot of startups actually have a budget, but they don't work out a ROI. It's common even in companies. So that's something that I hope that you can think about as well. So what is ROI? Okay, so you have to consider quite a few things. All right, ROI is this point here. ROI means that you have to understand that there will be people who get to know you, but they might not have left their details. They might have lost interest. when they heard about your company. And basically, there will be also a group of people who are interested and would like you to get in contact with them. But getting in contact with them doesn't mean that it is a closed sale. So how many percentage of these people, 100 people getting to know you, how many will inquire? Let's say you say 10%. So 10 people out of this 100 people will inquire about your products and services. Then it is to the sales team to close the deals. How many can you close out of these 10 who have inquired, right? And after that, of course, it's about optimizing your strategies and your processes. If you have, say, 10 people inquiring, and right now, every 10 people who inquire, you can close one sale. When we talk about optimizing, it means that can you close 2 sales or 3 sales instead of 1 sale? Okay, so that is what we call optimizing of ROI. But first, you must have an ROI. If you map out your ROI and you cannot hit the target of an ROI, then it is time to review what is wrong, because there is supposed to be an ROI in any marketing campaigns and digital marketing campaigns. Sometimes maybe your budget is not enough. There are many people who tell me that I have $50 budget, $100, $200 budget. But the key thing is that if you do not have enough people know about you, there will not be people who inquire and therefore cannot decide which is purchase with you. So sometimes the budget is not enough. All right. So there's ways to analyze this. Provides flexibility, meaning that if I know it is not something well received, I can stop the campaign. I can choose to do something else. I can adjust my targeting, my interests, location targeting, right? I can adjust my copywriting, my images. Videos might not be that quick, but videos might take some time, but you can have option A video, option B as well. So these are what we call A/B testings. Okay, before we dive deeper into all this digital marketing, okay, the first thing I would like you to do is to describe your customers today. So if you have a startup idea, if you have a tech idea especially, I'd like you to think about what are some ways you would describe your customers today. All right, anybody want to try describing your customers today? You can drop it in the chat, or you can choose to unmute yourself. Even those in the planning community, if you like to take part in this discussion, feel free to drop it or unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I can jump in and describe our customers. We are startup Carbomania, a tech startup. We develop a direct air capture technology, and our first target customer is a greenhouse grower of a middle-sized greenhouse. And we see as our planned way to reach our customers is direct sales B2B. Thank you.
Okay, B2B. But how will you describe this group of customers? Say, for example, if I describe a friend, I would say that this friend is fun, she's outgoing, she likes a challenge, she gets things done. That's how I would describe a friend. How will you describe a customer?
I would say that our customers are rather conservative, and they are not very open to discussion, to maybe not even very open to innovations, but that's like the description. But our idea is to find those that are open to innovations, that are interested in new technologies, and to target them firstly. Thank you.
That's a good point. So there are sometimes, in very rare occasions, you have a group of customers, but there is a best customer and a customer. So this group might be your customers, but it's harder to win them over. But there is a best group of customers, partly because of some reasons, which we will talk about right now. There are 4 ways I will describe a customer today. They are more informed than ever before. What do we mean by that? They know of other products available in the industry, available in the market. If we talk about, say, Instagram scheduling tools, right? How many of you would know more than one today? You would know Buffer, later Hootsuite maybe, and even Facebook's Creator Studio, right? Without even talking about the many other platforms out there. So they are more informed than ever before. They seek deeper connections with brands. If you look at a lot of brands today on digital platforms, especially YouTube and Instagram, largely what they are doing is not only telling you what they can do as a business, as a platform, as a tech startup. They are adding value to you. They are trying to create a connection with their followers. They are asking questions, they are quizzing them, they are inviting them to closed door sessions and many other things. Even for this session here, it's a webinar for an audience, and there's something for you at the end of it, right? They are going to share with you about their ground zero event. So the third point, I would describe that a lot of our customers today are on multiple social media channels at the same time. All right. And that is a problem, right? Because how many of the startups today would have budgets to hire social media managers or creatives to create graphics and videos, right? Some people might not have the strength of both worlds. They might be very good creatives, design. They might be very good video animators. They might be video animators for horizontal format. They might be video animators for vertical or social media content. So this is a problem, but it's a good problem, I would say. Okay. And last but not least, I think I would describe my customers today as being very active on social media. And this is one of the key things that is very important, right? Why, then you would ask me, why is this important? Okay, there are two things. One, when you understand their behaviors as your customers, you would be able to engage them on a level that is more, I would say, is a deeper connection, and you start creating contents that they are looking for, rather than you are pitching to them all the time about your products, your sales and products. If I were to ask you about a brand that you love today, okay, a brand that a tech brand, okay, a tech brand that you enjoy using, you love it a lot, which brand comes to mind? Which tech brand comes to mind today? Anybody? Drop it in the chat. Apple, right? Nice. I agree. Google as well. Yes. These are two brands that I think I would say when I was in school, I wouldn't say Google is a must-have, but today I think I rely on Google on a lot of things. Food recommendations, should I visit a restaurant? What should I order? How to get to a location, right? And Apple, I agree. I can't use Windows for nuts. It just doesn't work for me. Okay, Grammarly, very good, right? For some. So these are brands that what have they done? What do you think that they have done that you will not be able to live without this tech? Your life would have been more complicated, number one. And what have they done such that you really enjoy their products? These are two things for you to think about. And coincidentally, these are tech startups that you have mentioned. So these are very good case study points for us to learn from. And one of the things, if you have heard of this person called Guy Kawasaki, okay, take his name down, Guy Kawasaki. He actually says that these are what we call tech innovators. They have innovated such that they look at making your life easier, making it fun, so that you not only enjoy the products, you become their advocates. Okay. And Apple, I can tell you, my computers are so old and they never spoil. And that's one thing about Apple, right? And that's something that I would describe Apple as. Okay, not only versatile, right? So there's an activity that I'd like you to do. You might not be able to complete it today, but there's something called customer personas. In a customer personas, there are a few things to consider, but I would say that think about what your customer goals are. What are their aspirations? Okay, what do they hope to do? What do they hope to do better? If you talk about Apple's customers, they are creative, they are quirky, they hope to be able to have their tech devices sync up quickly, right? If I were to tell you that to send a photo or video from my Android phone to my Apple computer takes me, say, 5 minutes. But whereas when I use my iPhone on AirDrop, it takes me a minute, right? So these are things where when a user actually uses your product, they would know whether it has made their life simpler or more complicated. So think about their goals, their aspirations, their needs, and their frustrations. Why are these things important? Okay, and that leads me to my next point here. All right, there are many customer personas online. You can go and Google it. There are many templates available, and that would help you to think about why customer personas are important. Okay, there's something called a buyer's journey. Okay, typically there are 3 stages in a buyer's journey: awareness, consideration, and the third is decision. Okay, so what happens in these 3 stages? When I know about you, what would make you consider? And then what would make you decide? I'll give you a very simple example. We have workshops, courses at our agency, digital marketing actually. All of them are digital marketing subjects. We started with 2. Now we have 10 different digital marketing topics from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, right? You name it, content marketing and everything. What would differentiate us as a digital agency or as a course provider, training provider in the digital marketing topics from our competitors? That is the consideration, right? Firstly, I want people to get to know about me through search engines. So I need to do what? I need to do search of SEO, right? Search engine optimization. Maybe I need to consider SEM as well, Google AdWords. I have clients who swear by SEM. Without SEM, they feel that they will never get clients or customers, will not know about them. But considerations, I need a few points. So my customers would consider me instead of my competitors. So, okay, so why do you think that this is important? Why do you think, and I've listed out about 12 points on the side. I'm not sure whether you can tell which is awareness, which is consideration, and which is decision. But I mentioned 2 things about awareness earlier, SEO, SEM, right? There's social media advertising as well. Social media marketing and advertising is different, but yeah, those are the third point, I would think, right? What other things do you think would help you to decide? If you were to take a digital marketing workshop today, who will you go for? Who is the first company that comes to your mind? Anybody? Hootsuite. Hootsuite has workshops. Salesforce, but the Salesforce and Hootsuite have workshops. Okay, Google, yes. I think Google has some free workshops, especially Google Analytics. If you Google about it, they have free content, yeah, for those of you who are interested. What else? What is one digital marketing school you would think of when you want to learn digital marketing? You will go to them. HubSpot, yes. HubSpot has many free curriculums. I especially like their Instagram and content marketing workshops. You should check them out. They provide a very good framework. Okay, just like this buyer's journey, they talk about it, I think, in their workshops as well. Definitely in their blogs, they talk about it. Okay, buyer's journey, right? HubSpot. Anybody? Anything else? All right. There are a few more. Skillshare. Skillshare actually how many of you have heard of Skillshare? They actually give away, currently, I think they still do give away 2 months of subscription for free. If you watch a lot of YouTube videos, I also go to YouTube for contents as well, right? So think of these things. What are some ways I can help people to consider me? What about General Assembly? Anybody heard of General Assembly before? Will you choose General Assembly?
They charge though, right? It's quite a lot. Last time I checked.
Yes. So because of COVID, if you have been following them, they have a lot more free resources these days, but they tend to be shorter, 1 to 2 hours. But it's good content actually. That's because when COVID happened, they were able to open up their Australia webinars to Singaporeans as well. So and vice versa, Singapore webinars for the Australian audience as well. So these are some things to consider, right? And I think one of the key things to understand is what would make you choose a training provider compared to another. But pre-COVID, maybe the location matters. Someone from staying in the West might not want to attend a training in the East. But if you have a central location, maybe yes. Preferably the central location has multiple MRT lines. I suppose the audience here today are Singaporeans, or at least you are staying in Singapore. Multiple MRT lines connecting. okay, ideally. So believe it or not, pre-COVID, this was the most important factor to our participants considering our workshops, okay? So this is something that is easily ignored, forgotten, but I want you to pay special attention as you map out the buyer's journey. A lot of times, you must interview your customers, right? Preferably, they are customers who have bought something from you. If you interview them, you find out and you'll be able to map out all these things even more clearly. Visually appealing website, some customers have told us our websites looks much better than many other training providers, that we put our trainers' profiles on the website. A lot of schools don't do it, okay? And one thing that stands out, if I were to tell you a digital marketing program with Ngee Poly or Temasek Poly and NUS and our agency, right? You would probably choose NUS digital marketing program. Am I right? Anybody? Agree? Disagree? I see a few nodding your heads. So what would make me the choice compared to someone going to Polytechnic or NUS? What do you think would be the decision factor? What do you think can be, rather? What do you think can be? It can be something that we are doing. It can be something that we are not doing. Brand recognition, okay. What if, think about this, what if you have attended one of our free webinars before and you have heard the trainers sharing and you like it, right? That is what we call being aware of you and how I can address a certain problem that you have. So I might have very short video clips on YouTube, say how to do this, how to do that. And that's how you recognize me as a brand, right? So maybe brand recognition needs a bit more in-depth explanation. But another thing is to understand what my competitor does well and not so well. Okay, one of the things about schools, ITE, polytechnics, university, is that they only have 4 runs a year. 4 runs a year, usually once a quarter. And that is a problem. Why? Because when people, the behaviors of people searching for a digital marketing workshop or a product, sometimes they want it immediately. So if you don't have it immediately for them, then they actually go somewhere else. So that's something that we need to think about. Okay. So we schedule it every single month. And that is what our customers came back to tell us that, yeah, you know, I was comparing between this outline and your outline. Actually, your outline is nicer, but what really made me sign up was because you have a course run this month. Okay. So that's something that you really need to dive deeper into your customer journey to think about. Okay, next. How should we then market on social media platforms? And I want to, I probably most of you wouldn't have seen such ads before about homes because you probably are not buying one yet. But if you have seen a realtor, property agent's ad, okay, it probably looks like the one on the most left here. Anyone has seen property agent ads before? If you have, okay, let me know what kind of ads you usually see. But my key question is, if I don't know who Jeffrey the realtor is, why would I click on his ad? Okay. Number 2, if you look at the second ad on my screen right here, is Oh My Home, buy, sell, rent property in Singapore. What they are doing is having a webinar, right? And what do you think they're doing with this webinar about rental talks, right? It's about buying, it's about selling, it's about renting properties in Singapore. Why do they have a series of webinars? This is episode 2, so they had an episode 1. And episode 2 is coming up on 6th of May. I purposely went to take a more recent screenshot so that it's more relevant for everyone here. And that's to generate leads, generate people who are interested in renovating. If you're interested in renovating, means that you probably own a house right now, or you're going to buy a house soon. And you are their audience, okay? So these are some things to think about. And I want you to think about this few things. How can you inspire? How can you motivate? And how can you help your audience? Does it make sense? Okay. So I would like you to think about it, because one of the key things about marketing, okay, and being good at it is to inspire, motivate, and help your customers. Okay. So tech startups, you need to think about these things. Why do we keep thinking of Google? Why can't we live without Google, Apple, right? All these tech startups, okay? And if I were in digital marketing workshops, I wouldn't just tell you about my workshops, but maybe I would advertise about my free webinars or generate leads who are interested in this topic before I tell you about my paid workshops. Okay. The best marketing does not feel like marketing. So if you're thinking about having digital marketing and doing digital marketing, try to think of what are some ways so that your customers don't feel that they are being sold to all the time, being marketed to all the time. All right. Next. Okay, so B2B, B2C, I think you need to what we call segment them further. Are they Gen X? Are they millennials? Are they Gen Y? Are they baby boomers? Okay, why? Okay, so you might ask me why. And the key thing to this is when you know who your customers are, you would be able to map your customer journey better and clearer, and you will be able to address these different things, their goals, their aspiration, their needs, and their frustrations. Okay, so these are some things to think about. And another thing I need you to think about is the difference between sales and marketing. Okay, how many of you can describe to me what is sales in the chat? Closed deal, okay. Selling of products, yes, that is sales. When you're selling, you haven't actually closed it, that is also sales, yes. Marketing is just advertising, okay. Sales is converting leads, okay, sure. All right, so I teach at a school called Institute for Adult Learning, okay. If you have heard of this school before, it's at Paya Lebar. A lot of trainers who want to be a trainer, they usually take a program called ACTA or ACLP right now. It's a new course rebranded from ACTA. And what they do is that they go through a lot of trainings there and to get a certification so that they are recognized that they have the skills to train in whatever topics that they want to train in. Okay. And one of the participants, so I have a workshop called, digital marketing. At some point, I have different workshops at IAL on a renewed different years. So 1 year, I think last year before COVID happened in January 2020, I was teaching about digital marketing, and this sales coach was wanting to learn about digital marketing. And when I asked this question, what's the difference between sales and marketing? The sales coach actually said this: sales is 80% marketing. Okay, sales is 80% marketing. Why is that? Because when she elaborated her point to the class, was that if good marketing is done, it's very easy to close the sale. But when you do not have good marketing done, it's very hard for the sales team to close the sale. Imagine if at any point of time, HubSpot wants to sell certain products, new products, or like what you mentioned, Apple, Google, right? People are more willing to be open to their products that they launch, the products that they have, because they have been a good product, they have helped them in their lives, and they know about this product. Okay, so sales is 80% marketing. A lot of things that Google is doing, Google spreadsheets, Google slides, these are marketing strategies to acquire customers. And this is a tech product, right? Google Slides is a tech product. When we talk about Google Meet, another option of Zoom is free. It's a tech product. Why is it free? It's to acquire customers, right? So think about this example that I'm giving to you today. And it's very important to understand before you start marketing who your customers are, what are the marketing fundamentals, and hopefully you can understand why marketing is more important than sales, because good marketing needs to be done before a sales can be closed. All right, otherwise you feel that you are pitched to. Everyone okay so far? Anyone has any questions? Yeah, marketing is raising awareness. That's true. If nobody knows about you, it's very hard to close the deal, right? Today, if I talk about shampoo brand, what are the shampoo brands you know? Just at the top of your mind. What are some of the shampoo brands you know? Maybe you don't use them, but you know them. L'Oreal, yep, that is good marketing. Do you use it? That's another question, right? So sometimes you know certain products, but you don't use them. So that is still good marketing. Head and Shoulders, yes. right? And nowadays, I think we hardly see Head and Shoulders advertisement. I remember last time it was about dandruffs on TV, but nowadays I don't really see their ads. Yeah, but we still remember these brands, right? So that's good marketing, okay? And I want you to be able to define marketing, because it's not about what your friends think you do. This is from HubSpot. It's not what your parents think that you do. It's not about what marketing team thinks that you do, right? And so on and so forth, right? So marketing is also not spam. If you spam people, that is not marketing, that's spamming, all right? So you need to know who your audience are before you start marketing. So that's something that is a very thin line these days. A lot of people, companies, they hire roles for sales and marketing, but they are actually very different things. And I can tell you that some people who are very good at sales is very bad at marketing. Some people who are very good at marketing is bad at sales. Okay, but there are people who can do both. But it is vastly different things that we're talking about here. Okay, marketing mix. How many of you have heard of marketing mix before? Anyone? It originated many, many years ago. Started with 4 Ps. Right now, because of technology, I think, social media, there are at least 7 Ps right now. Okay, 7 Ps. And when you think about marketing your products, okay, the marketing mix came about 1960. So that's 60 years ago. Okay, 60 years ago, 60 years ago. The 7 Ps are a bit more recent. So what's your product or service that you are providing? Place is where do you think is a good platform for you to sell? It might be for some products to be at supermarkets. Some you might need to collaborate. Like, for example, Apple collaborates with some of the printers like HP at one point. At checkout, they would feature HP printers. Products like earpiece, earphones, Beats. Beats was a earphones that I think was also on the checkout page of Apple products many years ago. I think today as well. Okay, so what is the place to best sell your product? It might be social media. It might be Google AdWords. It might be, for most of us, it might not be. But manufacturers in China, most of them would be AliExpress, Taobao, right? Price, okay, research your market. What is the pricing strategy of your competitors? What is the pricing strategy for you? Okay, why is this pricing very important in a marketing mix? You want to make a guess? I give you an example. Who is the competitor of Shopify? Anyone? Who is the competitor of Shopify? You can drop a comment in the chat. Okay, that's Spotify. Okay, yes, Spotify's competitor is YouTube Music and Apple Music as well. Okay, but Shopify, the e-commerce platform, competitors can be Lazada. What else? Let's say we are talking about similar features. Okay, meaning I can create a free account very quickly, create a website very quickly, buy a domain name, upload my products, integrate a checkout process, and launch, right? That's pretty much what Shopify does. Wix, okay. There's one brand, okay, Singapore brand. Just want to give a shout out. Shopmatic, okay, Shopmatic. So when Shopmatic came into the picture, Shopify was already around for some time. They launched a few years later after Shopify. And I just want to tell you their pricing strategy, okay? Do you know what Shopify does? Shopify does a 14-day trial, 1-4, okay? 1-4. How do you see it? Like that? Okay, 1-4, 14 days trial. This is to help you get started. And if you like it, you can continue the subscription and you pay a $29 US per month to be able to have your products, have a website, and be able to sell products. So they charge you $29 a month, and they charge a transaction fee, a few percent of your transaction fee. I think less than 5% if I'm not wrong. But when Shopmatic came, which I think they did not do this at the start, okay? They did a pricing strategy that would help them to acquire more customers. Pricing strategy, meaning that instead of $29 per month, they were doing something else, okay? You might guess, they went cheaper, $19. Okay, I want you to make a guess. What was that pricing strategy? It's not the $19. Anybody want to make a guess? No transaction fee, okay? No transaction fee. Okay, so they charge per month, but no transaction fee. Okay, makes sense. Longer free trial, only subscription, okay? Pay by feature. Interesting. But what they did, was they don't charge you a monthly fee. They only charge by transaction. Who are their customers, number one? And what are they addressing? Because I might be paying a monthly subscription on Shopify, but I can't sell my products. I'm not ready. 14 days is not enough to get me ready, maybe, right? For some people, it's enough. I need more time. I need to fix certain things. I might be doing this on the side. So if Shopmatic does not charge me a monthly fee, they only charge me when I sell a product, do you think it will attract a certain group of customers? So that's what they did. And pricing strategy is very important when we talk about tech acquisition of customers. This is just one example. There are many, many, many case studies out there, many to learn from. Okay. Next, let's talk about promotion. There are traditional methods, modern methods. I want to share with you what Nike did. Okay. How many of you have Nike shoes? Anybody love Nike? You have Nike shoes? What Nike did was this. All right. Nike actually did this app called Nike Plus. Have you all heard of Nike Plus? Nike Plus is an app that basically you can track your distance. They have different things like badges. They play music, give you different challenges, they call it, I think. Maybe it's like 1 kilometer, 5 kilometer, 10, 15, something like that. But one of the things that they did to acquire more customers, you never guess it. Want to make a guess? What do you think they did to acquire more customers? And they integrated to Facebook, so you are able to tell people that, hey, I'm going for a run, and people on Facebook can cheer you on. And I think literally you will hear the cheer, and it encourages people to use the app. Okay, so these are integrations where you promote other apps, or you integrate. Maybe you're not exactly promoting, but you integrate with Facebook API, and people can cheer you on. And you say that, hey, I'm going for my first time going for a 10-kilometer run or 15-kilometer run. Cheer me on, and people like clap, and then you hear it real time. Okay, you can Google about it. It's a case study. You hear it real time, and when people clap for you, you actually hear that yay. Okay, that thing. All right, so that's promotion. All right, and Spotify was another integration altogether, another strategy as well. So don't think of promotion as very traditional promotional activities. Okay, people, can you share with me a brand where employees actually are the main reason people go to that brand, whether it's a tech product, a restaurant, an e-commerce platform? Anybody where you think that people are the reason you go back to that brand? Haidilao. Okay, yeah, that's a very good example. Haidilao, yeah, because of customer service, is it? Or their happy birthday song? Okay. I don't know about the Baby Shark song, but I know that they do sing a birthday song. Every kid that goes into the restaurant gets a toy. As you are queuing up, you get a pedicure, some other things as well. Popcorns, drinks, right? Anything else? Any other brands that come to mind? Haidilao is a very good example for customer service, people. Yes, I do agree. Beauty in the pot. Okay. Short form. Okay, yes. Okay, why do you go back to Beauty in the Pot then? Is it the service as well? Yeah, service very good also. Okay, so think about this. How can people be confident because of the interactions with people? And I will tell you that, say, for example, if you think of hosting platforms, because I'm in the space, at one point there was a brand that was doing so well many years ago called Vodian. Okay, have you heard of Vodian before? They are the go-to for domain and hosting. They have very good service, better than HostGator, better than GoDaddy. Partly due to, I think, time difference. Price is not always the main factor people decide on things. For me, as an agency, when I resell my hosting packages, I need certain things, good service, good support. Sometimes there are certain technical issues that I can't debug on my own. So think about these things. It's not always pricing. People don't always go for the cheapest solution. When you have amazing employees, those are the main reasons why people come back, why people choose you. Processes, something to think about as well. How many actions do I need to take to buy your product? Okay, how many actions and series of people going through before I can actually get the product delivered to my house? Those are things that you need to think about, especially for tech. I think a lot of tech, especially apps, they launch without being perfect. I think that's fine. But when there's a bug and there are people leaving reviews, you need to address them promptly. Okay. Physical evidence. There are many physical evidence today. You need a website to know whether you are actually existing as a business. People today think that social media is very important. If you don't have reviews, means that you are probably not something that they should go for as a business, as a brand, as a product. And I think if your reviews are recent and it's not like many years ago, means that you probably only came about recently, right? And if you have reviews many years ago but not now, maybe you're not as active now as a business, people are not using you as much. So these are things, physical evidence that have changed over time. Okay. Previously, physical evidence might be a physical shop, but today it has evolved. With physical presence being your social media presence, your social media activity, your Google review. Have you claimed your Google Map location as well? Okay, I hope you are okay with the marketing mix. It's a lot to digest, but this is very important. I hope that the case studies have given you some examples to reflect on. SWOT analysis. I gave you one very good example of how I use it for my own agency as well. When I know the weaknesses of my competitors, for example, polytechnics, universities, maybe they are more credible, people like a certificate from universities rather than an agency, is that I know that they don't hold their workshops monthly, and I worked on their weakness to be my strengths. Okay, so ask yourself, what are your competitors' weaknesses, especially if you have a competitor? For many startups that like to share that they don't have a competitor, I would like you to really, really, really dive into the research, because there are so many startups that I mentored that always tell me that it is a new idea, but really it has launched overseas. Okay, and what are some of the opportunities for you? Okay, many people always tell me that, wow, it takes so much time to create digital contents, video contents, demo, talk about webinars. But I would like to tell you that the opportunity of this digital content actually worked very well for me. If someone has asked me, what do you teach at this workshop? I can easily pick out one of my webinar videos and share with them, like, hey, by the way, if you're new, if you're still thinking what you should do, what is digital marketing all about, why you should explore digital marketing, here's a webinar that you can watch, right? So these are the opportunities, okay? Think of it externally and internally as well. These are different activities. Don't do it together. Use a SWOT analysis for reviewing your external and internal and business activities. Okay, last but not least, I want you to think about this thing called SMART goals. How many of you have heard of SMART goals? SMART goals, okay, good. So give me an example of a SMART goal that, or what is one thing that's important about SMART goals?
It's specific.
Mm-hmm. Why is SMART goals important? I give you an example here. Okay, I've done a few. So I can say that I want to get new sales calls every week. That is not specific, actually. What is specific would be, I want to get 30 new sales calls every month, or I want to get 50 inquiries every single month. That is specific. Okay. You can say that I want to get 50 new customers, but if you don't give yourself a time, like is it every week, every month, then it is not time bound. Okay. Measurable. A lot of people say that I want to grow my followers on social media. Okay. What you want to do is you want to say that I want to grow by how many followers in X amount of time. Let's do attainable goals together. Okay, how can this be attainable? So I give you an example. If let's say in the last 3 months, I grew by 90 or 100 followers for easy mathematics. Do you think it's possible for me to grow 1,000 followers in 6 months? If yes, how will you go about it? Okay, to make this attainable, how can I go about it? Let's look at your answers. Buying, okay. Buying is one way. There are pros and cons, I think, to buying followers. It's a long topic altogether, but there are some scenarios where you might need to buy the initial followers, but I wouldn't recommend you to do those kind of where you need to exchange your login access to buy followers. Okay, there are more legitimate ways to buy followers, but that's another long debate or a topic altogether. So what you want to do is 1000 divided by 6, which gives you a value of 100 and something, 166, I think. 66, is it? Something like that. Okay. And then you have to track. And if your last month was nowhere near 100, it is very likelihood that you will not hit your target. Okay. So that's what we call attainable goals. When our clients want to set a certain goal, we ask them what is the goal specifically, and we work back, and there are ways to track how you have grown in the last month and the last 3 to 6 months. Okay, so then you will know whether these are attainable goals, or what can you do. Like maybe my client says that instead of promoting our best contents with say $300 per month, I'm going to increase this budget to 600. That's possible. That's possible to reach our goals, because I was already at say 100, or I was already at 80 followers, and the client doubles my budget, I can definitely reach my goals. Okay, realistic is the same thing as attainable, I think. If you know that I have clients who come to me and say that I would like 10,000 followers by the end of 12 months. Some are not realistic. Some goals are not relevant. I would say that your first few hundred followers are very realistic goals, and it is relevant because it is a credibility that people are interested in your business. Okay, time bound, I've given you the examples earlier. So those are time bound examples. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, okay, set those goals. So if you're thinking what kind of goals you can set short-term and long-term, some of the immediate goals that we have set with our clients are improving their social media tone. Is it a casual tone? Is it a corporate tone? Is it asking of questions, right? What kind of tonality are we going to use? Increasing of engagements. Very big misconception is that I just want to increase my likes. That is the lowest in value in terms of engagements. Okay, there are likes, comments, shares. I would think that comments are very important engagements to have today. Okay, long-term goals should be at least a year. We are looking at least 12 to 36 months. What are we going to achieve in 2 to 3 years? 1, 2, 3 years. Okay, what you can do is, for example, in our Instagram marketing class, we ask participants to map out, instead of doing this, I am going to do this instead. Okay, so if you say that you want to do increase your engagements, instead of informing my followers and customers about my products and services, I want to start asking them questions. I want to do weekly posts. Do a time bound. Give yourself a time. How frequent are you going to do it? Okay, and instead of posting irregular schedules, I'm going to use a scheduler to post at least 3 times a week at 12 p.m. or 9 p.m. right? So things like that. Okay, do this activity. We call it an instead of activity. Okay, instead of this, do that. What you want to do also is very clear about your marketing goals, your objectives. Okay, understand, set your objectives before you start. Okay, begin with the end in mind. How will you track it? If I want to expand my email database, I would measure it by cost per email lead collected. I would not measure by sales. Okay, it's a common misconception. If I want to generate traffic to my business website, I would measure by cost per click, not by sales. Be very clear in your objectives. Before we end off today, I just want to let you know that different social media platforms have different strengths. And this is just one example, right? Hopefully it helps you to understand the difference. If I say that I like burgers on Facebook, on LinkedIn, I shouldn't tell people I like this and that, okay? You should tell people your skills are what. And how are you going to do that? How are you going to communicate what your skills are on LinkedIn? There are different limitations as well. When we talk about video limitations, LinkedIn is 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. Instagram is 1 minute. All right, unless you do an IGTV video, you can go 10 to 60 minutes. YouTube, 12 hours, right? But Of course, we don't do 12 hours, okay, unless you're live streaming a very important news. Okay, before we end, I would like you to watch this video.
Hello there. Would you like more leads and sales for your business? If you would like more leads and sales, continue watching this video. One of the most common mistakes many business websites make is the copywriter's focus on features instead of benefits. You're probably wondering, what's the difference? Well, imagine this. At Sky Digital Agency, we're trying to sell our participants our MailChimp course. The website copy could probably sound something like this. Learn how to create, design, and schedule your email marketing campaigns with MailChimp. Well, those are features. Rephrasing the same statement as a benefit may sound something like this. MailChimp is an email marketing software that helps business owners automate their email campaigns and grow their sales. Now, grow their sales, that's a benefit. Also, even if you have really good copy on your website may still fail to drive you leads. Why? It's simple. The website lacks an integrated digital marketing strategy. Here's another example. We have made our website SEO friendly, and we run weekly Facebook ads that drive us website traffic. On our website, we currently give away a free SEO ebook titled 10 Ways to Rank on Google. When an email is keyed into the pop-up, the ebook link is automatically sent to the email for download. Now, imagine if we had an SEO strategy and a monthly Facebook advertising budget, but did not have any freebies or giveaways via a pop-up. We literally drive customers to our website, but let our customers slip away as we did not manage to capture our customers' email leads that could possibly allow us as an agency to follow up with email marketing. This is what we mean by an integrated digital marketing strategy. In the example above, it involves integrating 3 digital components: Facebook advertising, website SEO, and email marketing. Would you like more leads and sales for your business? Start with an integrated digital marketing strategy. Get in touch with Sky Digital Agency for a consultation on your project at 65-9296-3877 or email us at sayhi@skycrm.asia.
Okay, welcome back. So basically, digital marketing itself, you need to think of integrated digital strategies. This is a webinar. This is my best way of summarizing what you need to understand and what you need to involve. Most of the time, it's not only your website. It's not only your social media. You have to integrate that together. How can you drive leads from your email? How can you then, continue to re-engage them with social media? Right, so these are some things to consider. And I'm done with my presentation today. Thank you so much for paying attention to the entire webinar. And if you have any questions, I can take your questions now.
Maybe I can start off with a question.
Sure, please.
Yeah, I have a question specifically about advertisements. Like we can often add a lot of factors in. So I've heard it both ways, where you should add a lot of factors in and you should just add a general one like age. So I was wondering which one would be better for like LinkedIn, Facebook, IG. When you're creating ads, you can add like interests, what groups they're in and stuff like that. So or you can just add demographics, just age. So is it good to keep it simple or add as many as possible?
Okay, I will answer it from the point of Facebook and Instagram first, because different platforms actually have different things to consider. Okay, but I'll give you an example. Say, for example, to be very honest, if I add Wix, I add Shopify, they are different audience, because Wix and Weebly, usually people only use it for web creation, not so much of e-commerce. But let's say if I target people who like Shopify, these are e-commerce platforms, right? So when I do a copywriting of my ad, I could go as specific as have you used platforms like Shopify and you struggle with it? So if I'm Shopmatic, I will create ads like that. But if you remove interest, it's too generic. Okay. In short form, it's too generic. You have to add interest in at least for Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn, and YouTube. You need to add your interest. Otherwise, the audiences are too big. In Singapore, Okay, probably because when they set up the mechanics of advertising, they didn't know that Singapore as an island is very small. So the default is 40 kilometers, which is way too big. Okay, way too big. 17 miles is way too big. It's double the size of Singapore. If I show you the radius of the default settings, it's double the size. It's a lot of Malaysia, some Indonesia, some Batam. So that's why you need to narrow it down to about 15 kilometers, 16 kilometers. You still exceed a little bit, but I think that's fine. So then that's the radius you see. Okay, radius means 16 times 2 is already 32. Okay, so that itself you need to narrow it down so that you can be more specific in your audience. One key factor to help you in this is, let's say we have 4 million people using Facebook in Singapore, 2 million using Instagram. If your audience size, when you don't add interest, it's in millions, it's too big. You're saying that 1 in 4 Singaporeans on the street is interested in your tech product. Does it make sense? So that is the research that you need to do in each country. If I know that 60 over million people in Philippines uses Facebook, then my audience size would change up, right? Because I know that there's a bigger group of people who would use my tech product or my services. But that being said, a very good audience size for anyone just starting out is about 100 to 200,000. Anything bigger than 200,000 is a bit too wide, but we have had clients where I actually set up audiences as big as 300 to 400,000, which is in beauty and wellness. We have to get creative. So beauty and wellness, a lot of people, what they do, they target people who like beauty, like wellness, and that is wrong. What we need to do is to find similar interests. Say, for example, very quickly, I can think of branded products, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, right? But by the time you add Gucci in, it's already like a very big audience. So sometimes you might not be able to add more than one interest, or it's good to use audience size as a metric to measure whether it's big, too big, just nice. Yeah. So that's a very good question. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you.
No problems. Any other questions? Yeah, bench trade market that is more vague, household families, is that okay? To be very honest with you, it is not good enough if you are talking about tech product. Why? Because people's behaviors are very different. I can tell you that there are certain things that I'm willing to spend money on, but there are certain things that I'm not willing to spend money on. So the purchase patterns of different customer personas are very different. But it is a good thing to understand. Say, for example, you know that your audience stay in a HDB and definitely 4 and 5 room and above, or condominiums or ECs. They have certain X amount of household income, right? And they have a certain income to spend. Different people, different behaviors. I have friends who are willing to spend on food. I spend friends who are willing to spend on car. So you have to understand what triggers them, right? For me, if you ask me, in Singapore, I don't enjoy driving. On the ride to the office or my meeting place or my training venue, the time to commute is a time that I can settle a lot of phone calls. And I'd rather take that time to settle phone calls, reply to emails, than be driving. So you have to really dive into the customer persona and their behaviors to understand what is their pain point. And it's a good start, but dive deeper. If you don't know what their pain points and their frustrations are, that itself is a very big gap to fill. All right. Thank you, John, for your question. Anybody else have any questions? You can feel free to stay back, but I don't want to hold everyone back. For those of you who have questions, feel free to stay back and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So
thank you so much, Charmaine, for taking the time to share with us today and answering all our questions. So I'd just like to share with everyone about Ground Zero, which is a startathon happening this weekend, Friday to Sunday. So what happened is that students are welcome to come to our event and brainstorm together a startup idea. And they also receive mentorship sessions with our experienced mentors. And there are also cash prizes and also other non-cash prizes available. I'll send a link into the chat. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can just go ahead. And Charmaine, back to you if anybody has any questions.
You have a free program. 3 days is short, but I think it will address some of the very key important modules. So highly encourage you to attend as well. And there are a lot of other resources out there, but it's always good to have concrete modules to help you understand about your ideas, and really just asking the questions to have that feedback loop as well. All right. Anyone has any other questions? I think Ija has sent the Eventbrite link in the chat. Highly recommend you to sign up. I think, especially if it's free. Is it free? Yeah. Okay. So it's free. So join your 3-day program. Join the 3-day program and learn as much as you can. Make as much mistakes as you can when you're younger, but remember, don't make the same mistakes. Okay. The next time, make a new mistake. Learn from your mistakes, and I think that's the most important lesson for anyone to learn. And I think that's the best time to learn about entrepreneurship when you're younger, and just learning through mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes in your next venture, right? Make new mistakes, learn from one another. And I think if you have no other questions, I will end the session today, but feel free to follow me on social media. We have a YouTube channel with more than 100 videos out there, many webinars since COVID that we have done, and we have recorded and uploaded them as a resource for everyone who's interested to learn more. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I wish everyone the very best in your startup and your entrepreneurship journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charmaine.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Charmaine.